Rome, and I'm here today with the review for How to Get Away with Murder, Season 5, Episode 8, and it's titled, I Want to Love You Until the Day That I Die, which is also known as the winter or fall finale, whichever one you want to call it. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so the episode opens up 24 hours before the wedding. So we see New West, he is getting his, clothes together for the wedding that he's, Michaela has invited him to. And we see Laurel, Frank, and Bonnie. They're still talking about, telling Annalise who they think he is, because I don't believe even Frank has factual proof that he is who he believes he is, which nobody at this point knows who the hell he is. And Bonnie is saying that, telling Annalise and, the other kids will basically put them all in danger. And, Laurel basically is trying to get Frank to do her, do what she wants him to do. I'm like, girl, haven't you learned anything from the stuff that you've done for the last few years, that your plans always backfire and they go the wrong way? Like, sit down and shut the hell up. And Bonnie says, Frank had a reason for not telling them, and, he's going to do what he has to do to get things taken care of, or whatever he's going to do when it comes to New West. All right, so next we have the pre-wedding party. So, everyone is at the party with the exception of Laurel, and everyone is saying nice things about Connor and Oliver. Even Connor's dad gets up and, has some nice stuff to say about them. So then Laurel does show up to the party, fashionably late, might I add. And, Michaela's supposed to be watching Christopher, and she's like, are you sexting? Like, this is what you're doing while you're watching my son? I'm like, girl, shut up. Nobody is thinking about you at this point. Like, Michaela is watching your child. Just because she's in her phone, like, shut up, please. So, then she questions Michaela and asks Michaela, why do you even need a plus one? Like, why can't I be your plus one to this wedding? And, then we see Asher talking to Connor's mom. So, Connor's mom basically thought that it would be him and her together. I'm like, ew. And not in that way. She thought, like the Golden Girl, she thought that she would be his Sophia to her Dorothy. And I'm like, okay, if that's what you believe, go for it. But if we all remember, Dorothy was never could keep a man until the series finale of Golden Girls. So that's not really a good thing to say you want to be the Sophia to his Dorothy, because like I said, Dorothy was divorced from Stan. We're never gonna go into that whole story. So then, not Connor, but Oliver, I believe he was talking to Connor's niece and nephew, and they were asking him about why his dad isn't there, and he gave them an excuse about why his dad wasn't there. So then Connor's dad comes up and tries to talk to Oliver, and, Oliver says, what, let's go do this and this and that with the kids. So they then leave, and he doesn't make any eye contact with Connor's dad. So Connor is outside talking to his dad, and his dad is basically, trying to make up for the shit that he did, last year when he was trying to break those two apart. And he's talking about how he's paying for the wedding, and, Connor's like, what, just because you paying for the wedding, do not make this all about you. And, he says the reason why Oliver didn't make eye contact with you is because you were just, trying to break us up. And, I guess his dad has had a change of heart at this point. I don't know. All right, so then we have Bonnie. She goes over to Annalise's place. When she gets there, Annalise is telling her how they are on a mission to destroy the governor. Now, when she says they, she's talking about she and Big Nate. So Bonnie walks into the apartment and she sees Nate there. She's like, girl, the fuck? I'm not helping him. Like, you got me fucked up. So then Nate says that they need Miller's contact at the hospital that his dad was going to. And, again, Bonnie is like, why would I fucking help you? You brought up some shit in my life that I had long since buried, so why the fuck would I help you? So then Bonnie and Annalise go into the room, and Bonnie's like, girl, are you still fucking drinking? And Annalise is like, I am not drinking. And, she's like, you can search the place if you want to. There are no bottles in here. I'm pretty sure there are not any bottles in there. You probably done drank the shit up and have discarded of all the stuff. And Bonnie's like, that the governor could have this place bugged, and she could be listening to this conversation as we speak. And Annalise is like, well, good. That lets the bitch know that I'm coming for her. And, she asked her, does he know that you were drinking again? She says, like I said, she's not drinking. So then, Bonnie walks out and she goes up to Nate and she tells Nate that, she's drinking again. And she says the reason why she's drinking is because of your dad's case. And Annalise comes out and she says it has nothing to do with his dad's case. And, but Annalise wanted to know if Bonnie was going to get the information that she needed from Miller. She says, I'm not sure. So, they in limbo at this point. But Bonnie does tell Nate that if he does keep digging into this shit, that, that could get them all killed at this point. All right, so we see Connor and we see Oliver. They're in bed together with each other. And I'm guessing this is the day of the wedding. So, Michaela barges into the room and she tells them to put their thingies away. And I'm like, where the fuck did you come from? Ugh. So, this season, Michaela has really kind of worked my nerves. But Michaela hops in the bed with them, and basically she wants Oliver to hack into the prison ward's cell phone records to see who he called the day that Big Little Nate was killed. So then while they're in there, Connor gets a text message from Annalise. Annalise is telling Connor that she's not going to be able to make it to the wedding because she's sick. And Michaela's like, no surprise there. And I'm like, girl, what the fuck is your problem? Like, what? Like, shut up. So then Connor, he goes over to Annalise's place and she's like, Ashley gave you my fucking address. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't want y'all motherfuckers to come to my place. Like, god damn, like, go away. So she lets him in and, he's basically trying to talk Annalise into come to a wedding. And Annalise is like, I hate weddings. Weddings are not my thing. He was like, well, what about when you got married to Sam? She said, we got married at the courthouse, so we didn't have a big wedding. And he said, well, from what I saw of Sam and knew of Sam, I would have expected for Sam to want to have a big wedding. And she was like, he already had that with his first wife. I was the second one. I'm like, oh shit. And you were a mistress to Sam. Like, that explains a lot of stuff. So here's my question. Did Sam like black women? Like, cause you black, I wonder was the first wife black? And we are going to get into that a little bit later in the review. But I still wonder, was the first wife black or was she mixed? Like, God, Sam had a type. He liked his sisters. He liked that go-go. So, I guess Connor's trying to wear her down because he's telling Annalise that without her, he would have never met Oliver. I'm like, boo-hoo. Cry me a motherfucking river. Like, I get that you love him, but if she says she don't want to come to the wedding, like, let it be. Leave her alone. All right, so next we have Michaela. So Michaela goes over to Big Nate's house. She has the phone records that Oliver hacked of the warden, and she's basically telling Big Nate, that, look at these records. I believe that the warden made a phone call on the day that your dad was killed to basically kill him. So then, Big Nate, he was like, Michaela, goddammit, you are fucking shit up. Like, the governor could get hold to this and it could screw everything up and then we are all fucked in this situation. So then he puts Michaela out of his apartment, but he keeps the cell phone records that Michaela gave him. And then we later see him, he goes and meets with someone. He gives them the information that Michaela found. And, he was like, can you look in to see who this was that the governor called? And, maybe that'll give him a clue as to who killed his father. So then, the person that he's talking to leaves and he gets a phone call from Annalise. And Annalise is asking him, how do you feel about going to a wedding? I'm like, oh, so Annalise is going to go to this wedding. Okay, I see you, Annalise. It wouldn't have been me. All right, so next we have Bonnie. She is getting ready for the wedding, and Frank is there. And, they're talking about everything. So Bonnie's going to the wedding. Frank is not coming to the wedding. What Frank is going to do is Frank is going to go to New West's place and find any information he can find on him. So while they're talking, Frank gets a call from the one, and Bonnie's like, do not answer that motherfucking phone. Go to his apartment, see what you can find, and, then we'll get together and we'll figure out the next courses of action. And I'm still trying to figure out who is the one. Like, I guess we'll find out after the winter finale who the one is, because looking at everything that happened in this episode, I'm still trying to figure out who is the one and why are they calling Frank about New West, like I have a suspicion, but it can't be that person because that person has been dead for 5 seasons, so can't be him. I'm really curious to find out who the one is. I really, really am. Like, I'm interested in that. So then Bonnie goes downstairs and Miller's there. So Miller asks Bonnie, is Annalise coming? She says Annalise hates weddings, so she's not coming. And then she's like, well, why come you didn't tell me that, Big Nate had quit? He said, I didn't tell you because I didn't accept his resignation letter. And then he says, well, I know that you two were talking. And she says, Annalise told me because Annalise wants me to get information about your contact at the hospital. And then that's when Miller, kind of goes off. He's like, he feels like in his relationship with Bonnie that he plays, it's like a love triangle with him and Annalise. And, yeah, he feels like it's a love triangle that he feels like he shares Bonnie with Annalise, and how he feels like Annalise takes advantage of Bonnie and her issues, and she's like, my issues, and he was like, and then we see them, that was it for them at this point. All right, so now we are moving over to the wedding. So Connor, he is getting ready for the wedding. Michaela comes in there to talk to Connor, basically telling him not to be a runaway bride. And she's just giving him, words of encouragement. So then she leaves out of there, and, what is his name? Oliver asks her how things going. She says good. And then she sees New West there, and, they're talking. And we see Asher in the background. He's watching. So then Asher comes up to Michaela and tells her address is unzipped, and he zips it up for her. And Michaela's like, you know what, I'm so glad that we are in a good spot right now with each other. And then he mentions the fact that Michaela boned, New West. And he was like, so you boned my neighbor. And Michaela got quiet at that point, and there was nothing that she could say. And then, Asher's talking about how he feels like he's not good enough with Michaela. I'm like, oh my God. Pity party circle of one just for Asher. So now the wedding has started, and we have both of the grooms. They are walking down the aisle. And I was looking at Oliver's shirt, and I'm like, what kind of mariachi shirt is that he got on with all them ruffles and shit on there? And I'm like, that shirt is ugly as hell. So, then Bonnie shows up, and she sits next to Annalise. And Annalise asks her, where's your boyfriend? And she says that Miller, had to go to work unexpectedly, so he's not going to come. And, while giving their vows, Annalise dips out of the wedding, and she goes to the restroom, and she has a flask, and Annalise is in a restroom stall taking a swig of whatever. I'm pretty sure it's vodka, and I'm like, God damn, Annalise, like, I fell off the wagon that badly. Like, somebody help my girl Annalise out for real, please. All right, so now we move over to the wedding reception. We got still a drunk ass Annalise. So she meets Connor and Connor's parents, and basically Connor's dad put his foot in his mouth, and Annalise walks the fuck away. And then we have Laurel. She goes up to Bonnie with this plan that she has about how Frank could slip and kill New West, and they would have an alibi. And I'm like, Laurel, if you do not shut your ass the fuck up and worry about being a mother to this baby who you ain't never with, might I add, never do we see you with your baby. We see other people with your baby, but we don't see you with your baby. Like, worry about him. And then also, while we're talking about the baby, can we talk about how this baby has gone from charcoal black to, looking kind of Hispanic to now looking full-blooded Hispanic without a decent, without a little even speck of black in him. Like, they have really changed this baby up in the, God, like, this baby has really changed. But you know what? We're going to leave that alone. So, Bonnie leaves Lauren. I'm like, thank you, Bonnie. Leave that miserable Melly alone. Like, she gets on my nerves at times. So then we see Frank. He is in New West's apartment. He's going through some of his stuff. And then we see him open this, I don't know if it was a lockbox or whatever, but he opens it. And Frank pulls out a paper, and I'm assuming it's a birth certificate. By the way that Frank was looking, I'm assuming that it was a birth certificate. So, Annalise, she at that party, and she is still just, drinking. Well, actually, she's left out of the party, and she's went back into the sanctuary area, and she is still drinking, and I'm like, God damn, Annalise, you just chugging it back, chugging it back, chugging it back. So while she's doing that, New West comes in there, and he's checking on Annalise, and he's talking about how his mom didn't get the help that she needed when she did. So he's basically trying to look out for Annalise, and I'm like, something off about you, and I'm pretty positive. Pretty positive. We're gonna find out tonight what that is. And he asked her what she was drinking. Well, he said it smelled. He asked her what was she drinking, and he said it smelled like vodka. And she was like, "Oh, somebody spilled this on my dress." And I'm like, "Somebody spilled vodka on your dress, but it's coming off of your breath, right, Annalise?" So, as Annalise is trying to leave, her purse falls, and that's when he picks it up and he sees her flask in there. And again, he's just basically like, what, if you need my help, I'm here to help you. I'm like, I don't believe so, but if you want to say that, we're going to go with it. So then Annalise goes back to the party, drunk as fuck, lit as fuck, just, dancing, having a good time. And I'm like, look at Annalise having a damn good time. So then Bonnie is over there with Big Nate, and she's telling her, see, I told you she was still drinking. And, Big Nate is like, well, god damn, you were right about her drinking. So, so then Michaela comes up to where Bonnie and Big Nate are, and she's asking Big Nate if he found out information about the phone call that the warden made, and Bonnie's like, what are you talking about? And Michaela's like, you didn't tell her? So then Nate gets a phone call, and he goes out to take that phone call. I'm like, oh no, not Nate. Like, I'm just like, no, don't go outside. Please don't do it. Like, no. So the person that he was talking to earlier about tracking down where the phone call was made from, she tells him it was made from a payphone, and that if he checks his phone, the information, it's more information in his cell phone. All right, so now we about to get to the meat of everything. So we see Connor's dad. He goes up to Oliver, and he, asks to dance with him. And while he's dancing with Oliver, he apologizes to Oliver, and he tells Oliver, he wants him to protect Connor against himself and his own worst instincts. And Oliver's looking at him like, you got your motherfucking nerve to sit here and tell me this shit on my motherfucking wedding day. So then Oliver gets a phone call from his dad, and Oliver dips out to go take the phone call, and I'm like, it's either Oliver or it's Nate. I'm praying that it's not Nate, but I'm okay if it's Oliver because I don't really give a fuck about Oliver. No offense to anybody who likes Oliver, but I don't really care for him too much. So then we see Laurel. She asks Oliver's mom to watch Christopher, and then Laurel dips out. And you have Bonnie over there at the table beside Oliver's mom, and she's like, baby, are you okay? And then we cut over it, and then we see Annalise. She, like I said, she's still having a good ass time at the party, and she notices Frank, and then she goes over to where Frank is, and she says, Frank, why do you have to look on your face like somebody is dead? And then we see her slap the dog shit out of Frank. I'm like, ooh, that was a good slap. And then he shows Annalise New West's birth certificate. So his name is actually Gabriel Maddox. So then Laurel comes back into the party, and she's asking Oliver's mom, where's my baby? Girl, you leaving your baby with perfect strangers that you don't even fucking know that well. Like, what kind of mother are you, Laurel? Like, really? So then his mama tells her that she gave him to the pretty blonde lady, which was Bonnie. And then this is where everything starts to come into fruition. So we backtrack to 3:15, back about the time that Bonnie was getting ready for the wedding, when she and Miller were getting into it over Annalise. And Bonnie tells him, you know what, I'm gonna go to the wedding by myself. You don't come with me. You are attacking someone that I care deeply for. And he's like, but I care deeply for you. And Bonnie tells him, you gotta go. So then we see, then we flash, yeah. So when we're seeing this, Bonnie is replaying every conversation that she's basically had with Annalise, she's had with Big Nate and everybody about Miller. And you know, yeah. Well, so then we also go back to that conversation that Bonnie had with Michaela, and Michaela says that she needs to ask Nate what's going on. So then we see Miller. He texts Bonnie and he asks Bonnie to come outside so that they can have a conversation. And then we see him with that ring box in his hand. And when he gets out the car, we see Big Nate. He walks up to him and he asks him why did he do it, and he has his phone in his hand. And then we see a picture of Miller on the payphone. So Big Nate thinks that Miller is behind the death of his father. Um, Now Miller was saying that he didn't do it at all. So Bonnie and then at the wedding we did see that Bonnie and Miller got into it, and Bonnie told Miller to leave. So Miller did go to his car to leave, but then he starts to sit there and think about it. But Miller gets out of the car and he doesn't leave, and that was when he was intercepted by Nate asking him why did he do everything that he did. Okay, and then we also see Oliver. We also did see Oliver's mom when she gave Bonnie baby Chris, and Asher comes up to Bonnie asking her, why she not outside with her, what's going on with her and her boyfriend, because he's outside. He saw him outside with Big Nate. So then she goes out, and then Connor's mom comes up to Asher, and she asks Asher to come out to the car to help her get her shoe. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck ever. And then we see Nate. He beats Miller to a bloody pulp. So Miller was actually the one that was in the snow that is dead. Cause we see Nate, we just see him just boom, 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 busting him in the face, and just blood is just gushing everywhere. And so then Nate is the one that's in the bushes. So we do see Bonnie. She comes out, and we see Bonnie put her hands over Miller's eyes and his nose, and basically Bonnie killed her own man. Like, goddamn, Bonnie, like, whoo. But we saw Nate in the bushes, and he's telling Bonnie that it was Miller, and he told her it was Miller who called the warden, basically killing his dad. And then we see Connor. He walks outside, and this is where Connor sees Asher and his mama, and like, really, Asher, like, you gonna sit there and mess with your supposed best friend's mama? Like, oh my god. So then we see Nate. He's in the snow. He's trying to move the snow with the blood on it. And then we do see him. He is putting Miller in the backseat of the trunk, and then he goes into Miller's pocket and he pulls out the ring that was for Bonnie. So then we see Michaela. She's asking, trying to see if everything is okay, but Bonnie really truly didn't answer her. And then we see a drunk Annalise. She is stumbling into her apartment. And, Laurel asks, where's New West? And then we hear somebody in Annalise's apartment, and it happens to be New West. And he's telling her that he was worried about her. And then we see Annalise. She says, I know who you are. And then we flash back to when she was talking to Frank and that birth certificate. So, New West is Samson with his first wife. And I'm like, oh my god, like, what the fuck? Like, I did not see that one coming. So I am so curious to know who is the one that Frank keeps talking to about him. Like, it can't be Sam, because Sam is dead, so we think Sam is dead. So that's what I'm wondering, who is the one. So we are this is the winter finale, so it probably won't be back until probably late January, early February, somewhere like that. But like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys later.